This is Why Am I a Mets Fan, a podcast hosted by Samantha Croston and Ashley Wenskoski.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back into the Why Am I a Mets Fan podcast. That's Ashley Wenskoski. I'm Samantha Croston, and we are two sports reporters with a whole lot of technical difficulties. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe. The road to 10,000 subscribers is a long one and a challenging one, but we are almost there. We have a lot to talk to you about today. All Star Break edition. We're talking trade deadline. We're also talking about Mr. Met falling off the stage. That would be hilarious, except for the fact that we just talked about it 5 minutes ago, but you'll never hear that.
Cannot lie to you guys. We just did the first 5 minutes. My microphone wasn't on. There is a 7 p.m. coffee that I'm just going to get out in front of.
Nice.
It's getting closer to 8. You just need to bear with us. Also, we're here a day early. Maybe that's why we're so frazzled. We usually come out on Monday nights. It's Sunday. It's the All Star Break. I don't know what's happening, but we're here.
We're here, and we got it, and we're going to get through it. Let's just take a beat on it. It was funny, and it's still going to be funny, and we are going to talk about it again. Mr. Met fell off the stage. There were probably, I don't know, 7 angles of it. That's a lie. It was like 2 or 3, but like really good ones.
New angle just dropped.
New angle dropped. And whoever was doing that one angle where Mr. Met was walking right towards you, I see you. And I like that. I like what you did there.
2 things on the Mr. Met taking a tumble at the Citi Field Lumineers concert. Number 1, I'm going to repeat what I just said because it was funny. Number 1, he got right back on the horse. I mean, we have to give credit where credit is due. This man goes head over heels off the stage, gets right back up.
It was like cartoon.
He's back.
Woo, 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 woo.
There he goes.
No, truly.
Bobblehead and all. I mean, he's a little top heavy. You know what I mean? There he goes. Number 2, whoever's decision it was to dress up Mr. Met like he was attending a Lumineers concert with the overalls and he had like a little like hipster hat on. I mean, he was just your local barista out of Brooklyn. Like Mr. Met put on his best Lumineers attire, and I appreciate that.
It just means more. Like, genuinely, how do they do that? Who orders that? Where does the clothing come from?
Where does the Mr. Met costume clothing come from?
What's going on? And is it custom made? Surely for a head like that, I mean,
you got to get it over the head. How does he put on his clothes? Is it over the head? Is he stepping into some things?
Girl, those are the kinds of things we may never know. But she said this earlier, and I'm not going to let it go. The coffee fire me up. She said this earlier, and it's so true. The fact that he would get right back up is so emblematic of the Mets in general. I felt like, wow, you know what I mean? If this is going to be a mascot that represents this franchise,
Woo! Right back up.
And then right back up,
right
man.
off the cliff, right back up.
It's all about the fight and the climb and the journey. Mr. Met and Mrs. Met both understand that. I'm going to say it. Mrs. Met would not have fallen off that stage, but that is neither here nor there.
Neither here nor there.
It's okay.
It's all right.
All right. So the Mets are 55-42. They are a half a game back of the Phillies in the NL East. They lost 2 of 3 to the Orioles. The second and the third games were, problematic. But they won the first 2 over the Royals. And all I can really tell you is that we're in a better place now than we were a week ago and certainly 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think to lose 2 out of 3 to the Royals coming off of winning this series against the Yankees was disheartening. We're not going to get into it. Mendoza taking out Peterson for Stanek, the whole 9 yards. We will talk about the bullpen, but I just need to keep water under the bridge there for my own mental health. But to win the first 2 over the Royals, they had a good chance to, well, they didn't really have a good chance to win today. They showed fight today and almost won. Manaea blowing it, the walk off the Royals. It is what it is. But we've seen some encouraging, I would say, sparks of life from this team, even though the Orioles and the Royals, obviously, 2 teams that are not great. To go into the All-Star break, a game and a half out of first place, I'll take that.
I totally agree.
A half game, sorry.
And I'm going to say it. I know they lost today. I know that the fashion that it was in was disappointing to some people. But you just said just now, it is what it is. You know, I normally hate that phrase. In this particular game, I actually do feel that way because I think that Manaea had a great showing. And perhaps even though they did not win, you do actually have to walk away from something like that and see the positives, which is that for a long time now, we've just been wanting a couple of really solid quality guys in the rotation.
Yeah.
We didn't know what would happen with Manaea thanks to this injury because he even said himself when we saw him in Syracuse that he hadn't had an injury like this before. He wasn't sure exactly what to expect in the rehab process. Talked about patience being a factor, which to me means he had some maybe blips in there and some bumps and had to fight his way back. To see him out there and to see him perform in the way he did, it makes you feel like, wow, do we perhaps have 5 maybe 3 really good and 2 other serviceable guys in this rotation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. The bone chips make me nervous. They've said that he's not going to get rid of those until the offseason. But I think today was definitely an encouraging sign. They sort of eased him in, had him come in, I guess what you'd say, long relief of Clay Holmes, who started the game. Holmes gave up 2 earned runs in 5 innings, and then they brought in Manaea. I don't think you can ask for... I know it was soured at the end immensely by the walk-off hit. That was tough. But with Manaea himself, I don't think you could have asked for a better return outing. We saw him work out of trouble in the 8th. He had runners at the corners. He got out of it. His fastball was working. His breaking ball was working. He really only threw 1 changeup, didn't lean on the changeup much. But at one point, he struck out 5 in a row. He struck out the side in the 7th. He was throwing strikes, 44 of 65 pitches for strikes. So I know that everybody's just going to take it away. They lost the game. But I think if you're looking at Sean Manaea, it was really, really an encouraging first sign in his first appearance back.
I completely agree. And listen, you think about Manaea, you think about Senga, you think about Peterson. All of a sudden, I'm feeling less like the need to, just go off the rails. I felt like for a while there, it was like, whoa, is this Mets team actually not as good as we thought? And the reason we were having those discussions were because you were realizing, are some of these problems more deep-rooted than we maybe thought? When I see that and I see the fact that they're all going to be back potentially, it makes me feel like, you know what? Maybe, perhaps, the Mets don't even need to go out there at the trade deadline and get another starting pitcher, which I know people were talking about for a while. I don't know that it would be a bad thing, but I'm also saying I don't know that it's completely necessary either.
Today was a really important day to build off of that point. So today is July 13th, Sunday. And today is the first day that the Mets 5-man starting rotation that they planned for, that they envisioned in spring training going into this season, made up of Sean Manaea, Kodai Senga, David Peterson, Clay Holmes, and Frankie Montas, appeared. Today was the first day. Like, I could see if we get down the playoff stretch into the playoffs, people being like, what was this Mets team struggling with? Yada, yada, yada. They did not have their full 5-man starting rotation until July 13th, and they are a half game out of first place. And we saw the piecemeal that was involved there with kind of getting through some of those starts, getting through some of that long relief. So I think if you're a Mets fan, you have to feel good by the Senga, which we'll talk about in a minute, and Manaea appearances this week, and just know that the rotation for now is at full strength. Doesn't mean there's not some problems with Clay Holmes, doesn't mean there's not some problems with Frankie Montas, but they finally have all 5.
Let's talk about Senga. Speaking of, Friday, Mets win 8-3. Senga, 4 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, 4 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. His ERA is down to 1.39 on the season. How is that even possible?
He worked around traffic. I know 1.39 is, something I don't think people are talking about enough. If Kodai Senga didn't get hurt, Kodai Senga would have been an all-star.
Definitely.
That is one of the best ERAs in the NL, if not in all of baseball.
Oh, yeah.
Kodai Senga, those 4 innings, they had him on a strict 70-pitch pitch count limit. So Mendoza was yanking him after 4 no matter what. He worked around trouble really well. He got through it scoreless. I was encouraged by his fastball, the goat's fork, all of it. He looked good. And so now he just gets to build on that in the second half.
Saturday, the Mets win 3-1. Soto has a 2-run homer. Jeff McNeil has a little RBI insurance run in the 9th. Frankie Montas was pitching. The Mets win against the Royals. Y'all know at this point, kind of how we're feeling about Montas. There's definitely a hot and cold theme that goes on there. But before we get into that, I have to just take a beat and say it. I feel like this is perhaps the 3rd week in a row that you and I have both sat here and been thinking, wow, Jeff McNeil is really bringing quite a bit to the party, really pulling his weight. And more, it's starting to look like if anybody has to go, it's going to be somebody from that gaggle of the young boys.
The
you know what I
gaggle
mean?
of the young boys.
Yeah, if you're Acuna, you know what I mean? You're one of the. You gotta start to kind of be prepared for whatever could happen here.
Acuna, Brett Beatty. I don't want to say Mauricio. Maybe have a bag packed. Maybe have a go bag just in case.
Honestly, Mauricio, I think keep your stuff in the drawers.
I think he's safe.
But even.
Beatty and Acuna, I'd have a go bag. I'm so sorry.
And what about Vientos though?
I think Vientos is safe. I don't think they're going to trade Vientos. I will post this and play it back if they do trade Vientos, but I do not think a sophomore slump first half out of Mark Vientos is enough to flush away the potential we saw last season.
I think Acuna, of all people, you really got to, roll it up, put it in a duffel, but we'll see what happens. Okay, moving on. All Star Week is on deck. That's exciting.
I love All Star Week.
Who doesn't, man? It's
I just
such a
have to say it.
You can say it. Listen, I think even like as a kid, right? Like it's just one of those things that you look forward to. It's one of the reasons why you fall in love with baseball.
Right.
Not to mention, I feel like it just gives everybody a much needed reset.
Yep.
It's a few days without any heart attacks from the Mets. All good things. So Monday, we start with the home run derby. And many of you, I'm sure, know this, but it's just worth pointing out. No Pete Alonso this year and no Aaron Judge.
I know, no. Although there will be some New York representation with Jazz Chisholm. But yeah, no Alonso for the first time in, I think, 4 years. I want to say 4. It will be Matt Olson of the Braves, who just took Ronald Acuna's spot. Cal Raleigh, James Wood, Byron Buxton, O'Neal Cruz, Junior Caminero, Brent Rooker, and Chisholm, like I said. I think you look at that field, and obviously a few of them really stick out to you. First of all, Byron Buxton, I would love it if you were a New York Met after the trade deadline. Second of all, Cal Raleigh leads the league in home runs. I believe he was at 36 before today. He's got to be the favorite here. It's like the season of Cal Raleigh in Seattle. And Olson's
gonna
gonna have.
win.
I think Cal Raleigh's
win.
gonna win, but Olson will have the crowd behind him in Atlanta. The All Star game being in Atlanta on the Braves, so I would give Olson a good run as well.
I agree with that. I still think Raleigh's going to win. Honestly, I do, but we'll see what happens.
You know who else I'm excited to see just before we move on? O'Neal Cruz has such raw power, and the Pirates are going to like trade away the lot before the trade deadline. I'd imagine they want to hold on to him if they want to hold on to anybody not named Paul Skeens. But it will be a good O'Neal Cruz little show the world what you got, O'Neal.
Paul Skeens. You know, we don't talk about him a lot, but I've been thinking about him recently. It's a rough go for Paul Skeens. Like, honestly, I'm just saying, imagine being that great of a pitcher. You're in your prime. You are performing in an awesome, amazing way. And your team truly is just not even competitive. Like, they just suck.
Paul Skeens is getting the Jacob deGrom treatment when he was on the Mets. Paul Skeens and Jacob deGrom should sit down in a room together and have a little talk. I think it'd be really therapeutic for Paul when you get 0 run support. He has like a crazy ERA, and they haven't won in like his last 4 or 5 starts because the Pirates just cannot buy a hit, except for when they play the Mets. Then they'll sweep them.
Of course.
Right.
Tuesday, All-Star Game, 7 o'clock on Fox. You have Lindor starting at shortstop for the NL.
Yay. Very excited.
Pete Alonso, Edwin Diaz, and David Peterson as the late selection. Peterson replaced Giants pitcher Robbie Ray. It is his first ever All-Star selection at 29 years old. Just so you guys have his stats this season, 6-4 with a 3.06 ERA and 18 starts. It is the best first half ERA of Peterson's career. And then you have Diaz, who honestly a few days ago, I DM'd Ashley on Twitter and said, dude, we got to talk about him more right now.
Yeah, we do. And I said I already marked it down because it is high time. Since April 22nd, he obviously had a few crash outs to start the year. We were feeling a little uncertain about Edwin.
But he's a crash out guy.
He's a little bit, he has to get a few things out of his system. Then they fixed his legs. They made sure they were the correct length. And now
it was all about the legs.
It was all about the legs. And now
they need to fix Mr. Met's legs.
Literally. Edwin Diaz. This is a stat that's hard to believe. Just let's take a breather here. Edwin Diaz has allowed 1 earned run since April 22nd. In that time, he's had
It was my birthday. It was me. I was lucky.
There you go.
Yeah.
That you were the lucky charm. In that time, he's had 40 strikeouts, 13 saves. He's pitched like 28 innings. He has been so good, so locked down. We'll talk about it in a minute. The Mets' problem has been obviously getting to him through some of those late relief innings. And just a beat on Peterson, I was so happy to see him get that selection. I think there were a couple of pitchers in the NL who could have replaced Robbie Ray, but David Peterson at 29, he deserved it last season. He deserved it this season. He deserved some recognition for the really great year and a half he's had.
Yeah, I completely agree. I have been a Peterson stan from the jump, but Edwin Diaz, I mean, there have certainly been times, stints, months where you don't know what to expect, and it's awful to live through, and it's traumatic, and you have to be there because it's Edwin Diaz or bust.
Right.
This hasn't been any of that. And I think even though the Mets are still losing some games that they could have won or perhaps should have won or will win once their bullpen is better, you have to appreciate Edwin Diaz when he's performing no matter what. And he really has been. So we're both happy for him. You also have Juan Soto, who will not be at the All-Star game. That was obviously a topic of conversation this week. He initially started out saying he had to be better to make the All-Star team. I know that a lot of y'all are going to say he should have just stuck with that. I maybe think that too. But then he doubled back. He said he was asked if he would have liked to make it, which also, like as a journalist, like crazy question to ask. Like I'm happy he or she did because like it sparked this discussion. But like imagine really looking Juan Soto in the eyes and being like, "Don't you wish you were there?"
Wouldn't you have liked to be an All-Star? What is he supposed to say?
No, truly. Like you got to admit that question's not necessarily setting somebody up for success. I'm just trying to be fair.
No, it's not.
But you also have to admit Lindor would have responded differently. This is what Juan Soto said. What do you think? It's a lot of money on the table if I make it. He would make $100,000. That would be the bonus if he makes the All-Star team. I would love, I mean this sincerely, to know what you guys actually thought of that in the comments and what you actually thought he was trying to say there. In my mind, the way I view it, it was supposed to be a joke. Probably a bad one. Fell a little bit short.
Didn't land.
It didn't land with most people. It certainly didn't land with Michael K. He didn't think it was funny at all.
Michael K doesn't think anything's funny. I don't think Michael K is funny.
I agree. All that said, it definitely sparked a little bit of controversy. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, this is not the first time. Like we're starting to understand how he is with the media a little bit, right?
Juan Soto. Okay, my first reaction to this was, Juan, you almost had it, right? You had the great answer. We talked about it last week on this show that you said you have to be better to make the All-Star team, showing some accountability, showing some leadership with that answer, and then you just had to double back. It's like you had it in the net. You just hit the slam dunk, and then you just had to double back. But now, upon further review, upon watching this actual question that SNY posted, Juan Soto is sort of at the point with the New York media where he can't make a joke. And that's a dangerous point to be at. I do think he was kind of trying to be funny. I think he might have a dry sense of humor.
What do you mean that he can't make a joke? Meaning that the New York media...
He tries to make a joke and no one thinks it's funny. Like
right.
This, I think, if it was meant to be a joke, I don't know if he was saying it because he's very dry. He sort of said it with a dead serious face. So I am left sort of 50-50 as to whether he was trying to make a joke. If he was... I think he's at a tough spot right now with the media because the media is not looking for it. They're taking everything quite seriously that he says.
I'm just envisioning everyone in the media like blinking really wide. Like what?
They're like, was that a joke? Were you trying to be funny? I think everybody knows what I mean by that. Like Juan Soto cannot make a joke with the media at this point.
He's also not like necessarily that funny of a guy.
That's what I'm saying. He's very dry. Also,
you know
like
what I mean?
we just have to point it out, not in defense of him, $100,000 is like his bar bill at the club. Like $100,000 to Juan Soto is like he gives that to his Uber driver as a tip.
But that's why I really do think he was saying it as a joke. So either, have better punchlines or
make it clear it's a joke, smile, right? If Lindor said that, he might have smiled. Or I'm like eating my mic. I'm getting so...
But also, Lindor wouldn't say that.
I know.
He wouldn't. And that's not me saying, it's not me like necessarily ragging on Juan Soto. It's actually me more so saying, I think what the New York media needs to do is understand Juan Soto and really just accept him as he is. Mm-hmm. He's really not like a quote unquote captain. He's really not like a leader in the things he says. And honestly, like he could be like this a little bit. Like he's the guy who is barking at the ump a little, and that's fine. Like there's a guy like Jesse Winker, right? Wouldn't call him a leader necessarily, and that's fine because I like what he brings to the table.
That's a quip that Jesse Winker would have made. Like it's a quip. I don't know if it's necessarily like a jokey, funny haha, but it's a quip about something. You know what I mean? It's almost like making light of his own situation.
Right. And that's what I mean. Like perhaps you got to admit the one thing that is a little unfair sometimes is I feel like everybody just has such a goddamn microscope on Juan Soto that it's like they're always trying to figure out, well, what were his intentions and whatever. That's partially on Soto to make it a little bit more clear. But like maybe just accept him for the kind of person who he is and the things that he's gonna say, right? Like I don't think it was a huge deal. Even if he didn't make it as a joke,
I still think it's funny. $100,000 is nothing to Juan Soto. I'm laughing, even if he's not.
I honestly think it was funny too. I really don't have any issues with that. I also think in the future, could he just take the high road some of the time and just leave it there? Sure. Is he the kind of guy who's gonna do that? I don't know yet. I don't know him that well.
You had it in the bag.
You had it in the bag. Okay, so then the Mets will be back in action next Friday. Wednesday and Thursday are off days. They will be hosting the Reds for 3 and then the Angels for 3. So what do you think about that?
Time to beat up on some bad teams. We had the Orioles, we had the Royals. Honestly, didn't get as many wins there as I would like. A really fresh and crisp start to your second half is called the Reds and the Angels. Little piece on, we're going to get into some trade deadline stuff. We have to wrap up here in a little bit. But down on the farm, a few things to point out to you. Brandon Sproat, he may have officially turned the corner because now it's been 3 scoreless starts. Brandon Sproat has not given up a run in his last 3 outings. He has been absolutely dominant. 18 innings pitched, 18 strikeouts, no runs. He looks really, really good. Francisco Alvarez. I need to take a beat on Francisco Alvarez because I am going on the record and saying that I would be absolutely shocked, stunned, and taken aback if Francisco Alvarez is not with the Mets on Friday.
Bamboozled,
Hurt, hoodwinked, led astray.
No, I love when we get it. Once we're hoodwinked and bamboozled, something really messed up happened.
If I'm hoodwinked and Francisco Alvarez is not in New York on Friday, I will be shocked. He has hit 9 home runs. I literally wrote this afternoon. It's been updated to 9 because he hit another one today. 9 home runs since he was sent down 2 weeks ago in 13 games at AAA Syracuse. You can tell me he's pitching AAA pitching, facing AAA pitching. Well, today, he hit one of those off of the Phillies' top prospect. He's a top prospect in baseball, Matt Painter. He hit it to dead center. He hit 2 more doubles. He's hitting the ball hard. He's seeing the ball well. I think Alvarez needed a little break to clear his head, and I think he's gotten it. It's been 2 weeks. The Mets are getting next to nothing from Luis Torrens and Hayden Sanger, whether you like it or not. Oh. I think Francisco Alvarez is the Mets catcher with the highest ceiling, the highest potential, and I still think he's the Mets catcher of the future, and I think he'll be back with the team after the All Star break.
Hayden.
Sorry, Hayden.
No, it's okay.
Sorry,
I get it.
Hayden.
I get it. And listen, there was opportunity for Torrens especially, right? Like we never really talked about this side of things, but like while Alvarez was down there, it was also a chance for Torrens to fight for his place too. He could have continued to fight, and he could have been somebody who all of a sudden you're seeing as perhaps the future catcher. Nobody's viewing him that way.
Zilcho at the plate.
It wasn't enough.
Behind the plate.
It wasn't enough.
We talked about defensively, he's great. Zilcho.
And when everybody knew that Alvarez this whole time was branded as a power hitting catcher, that is something that you need to compete with a little bit, and he really didn't. This is, I think, a perfect example of why sometimes a stint, in Ashley's words, a one-way ticket to Syracuse might not always be a bad thing. I get it that it didn't feel good to be here. I am sure he's excited to get back. But don't you feel like he's really turned a couple things around? And apparently, I actually did speak with the AAA broadcasters this week who told me that it's not just his hitting that he's been working on. He's actually been working on trying to throw guys out, stealing. He's been working on trying to frame pitches better.
Yeah.
He's been working on trying to block the ball better, which honestly there was some cartoon-esque situations happening with him in that. Mm-hmm. And as we've discussed, he's not that fast. So I feel like when a ball bounces and is led astray somewhere, it's like kind of hard for him to locate it and find it, and things kind of get out of whack. He's been working on all of that while he's been there. He took this seriously, and you see the results.
Yes, I think the Mets needed to light a fire under Alvarez by sending him down, and I think that they did that, right? We've seen that in 2 weeks. I think the fire has been lit. Defensively, like you're saying, all that stuff was a really big part of the effort and the mental mistake stuff that you needed to come down and clean up. And the results at the plate have been fantastic. I mean, a little one-way ticket, a little rest in Syracuse that we saw from someone on Twitter this week. The rest in Syracuse is going to become a new phrase.
RIS. That was sick. Whoever
rest
made that
Syracuse.
Up, sick.
It's a new one for us. Anyways, I think it's really benefited him, and I would be shocked if the Mets extended it past the All Star break because he's been tearing the cover off the ball. If I'm Francisco Alvarez and you don't want Alvarez to get discouraged mentally, his confidence, all that, what else do you want him to do in these 2 weeks? He's been fantastic.
There's nothing else he could have done. Fly his ass back. Trade deadline candidates. We're moving on because we don't have that much time. Oh, by the way, I feel like we should just say this since people are here and they are watching. We are actually about to go do like a little spot piece for the New York Post. They invited us on. It's going to be something that I believe will be probably live by tomorrow.
It's Straight Out of Flushing is the podcast.
Straight Out of Flushing is the podcast. And I just want to make sure his first and last name, the host is Dexter Henry. So really cool opportunity for us to be able to go somewhere and do something different. So if you guys want to hear some more Mets talk, you can go there. You can watch us. We would really appreciate your support. But beyond that, trade deadline candidates. Here we go. Let me start by asking you this because I think it's important. Come the trade deadline, what do you think is the biggest hole here? Wait, don't say it. Tell me when you have it, and then I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, and we're going to say it at the same time and see if it's the same thing.
Like a position group? Mm-hmm. I kind of have 2. Should I say the one that I think is more urgent?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, left-handed reliever. Okay, just curious.
That was pretty much spot on. A relief pitcher and a center fielder, but I'll get to that in a minute. So some candidates that I think, first of all, I think they need to bolster the lineup. I don't think that's a secret to anyone. I'm about to go off on a whole little, first of all.
I love how you go, I'll get to it in a minute. This girl's so sassy.
I don't think, I just said 3 breaths ago that I don't think they're ready to move on from Francisco Alvarez as the catcher of the future. But if you did want to provide yourself with some depth at catcher, what if anything? Hunter Goodman.
That is what if anything.
What if anything?
Good for you.
Hunter Goodman of the Rockies is having a fantastic season. He is their lone representative in the All-Star game. He is 25. He has hit for power this year. He's hit 25 home runs. All of a sudden, so sorry, Alvarez, if I'm putting Hunter Goodman in that lineup and he has 25 home runs and I have a power hitting pop catcher threat, maybe he hits 5th or 6th in that lineup, feeling a little bit better about that lineup. That is, in my mind, a move that David Stearns would make if he's like, we're one bat away from getting back to, NLCS World Series type of stuff. I think it depends a little bit on how David Stearns uses this team. But I also don't know what it would take the Rockies to part with him, since he is pretty much their face of the franchise at this point. Not much going on in Colorado. You need to sell tickets, So it might take a top 10 prospect.
She's so insulting without trying to be sometimes. I love when that happens.
It might take some big league talent. I'm not trying to insult the Colorado Rockies, but not a lot going on in Denver right now, okay?
You need to sell tickets somehow.
No,
I listen, I get it, because honestly, not to
so
say
hot
I
in
haven't.
here. Oh my God.
Oh my God, it is spicy, and it's not because of anything we're saying. Like literally, it's sweaty. I really do like the fact that there have been some nice, creative kind of nicknames for Fab Four. You're seeing all of a sudden. We've talked about like three-headed monster at times with the New York Mets. What I'm really wanting though is like, how about the nice 9? How about the elite 8? How about the superb 7? How about the sassy 6? Like nobody is doing anything in those spots.
And when the Fab Four don't hit, they don't win the game. Today is a perfect example of that. Today, the loss, nobody hits until the 8th inning. Finally, Jeff McNeil hits an RBI thing. We talked about him before. He's not a member of the Fab Four. When the Fab Four don't hit, they don't win.
And that honestly makes me nervous.
I know.
Where is 5 through 9?
I agree.
Yo. Okay. Anyway, moving on. What do you think as far as, we have a couple names here, just so you guys all know, of people who we would both maybe be interested in seeing the Mets get. You mentioned catcher and that position and whatnot. Anyone else who sticks out to you on this list that you think, hey, the Mets could benefit from this guy?
Catcher isn't even the most pressing. I think the most appealing thing about Goodman is his bat. The Mets cannot and will not go to the World Series with Tyrone Taylor starting in center field. I am so sorry. I love him. Great clubhouse guy, good on the base paths, great defensively. He can't buy a hit. The Mets cannot have Tyrone Taylor continue as their starting everyday center fielder. He's a liability at the plate. Obviously, you need to bring in someone else. Byron Buxton would be a splash. This is another one put onto the category. I don't know if the Twins are going to part with him. Need to sell tickets. But he has over 20 home runs. And Buxton, you wouldn't have to sacrifice defensively, right? He's a really well-rounded player. He gets hurt a lot, so that has been kind of an issue throughout his career. But right now, with the season he's having, he would give you a well-rounded threat in your lineup. He'd be great defensively, and he fills that hole, right? He can do well on the base paths as well. So I don't know if the Mets are going to make a splash as big as getting Buxton, but if they wanted to, that would be the name. Jarren Duran, Boston, was a great idea for a while. He's a lefty bat, too, which would be appealing, but now the Red Sox probably aren't going to part with him because they are in a wild card race. They've won 10 straight. Red Sox are like the hottest team in baseball. Duran seems a little bit to me like the odd man out in that outfield now that they called up Roman Anthony, but I don't think that the Red Sox are going to be sellers at the deadline, to be frank with you.
Yeah, I understand that. As far as some of the other names that you have on this list, I will say that Edward Cabrera is someone who really stuck out to me, although, and I saw this the other day from Wardy, New York Mets YouTube content creator, so definitely go check him out at WardyNYM. But I saw that he was undergoing an MRI on his sore right elbow, so I would need to see what happens with that. But honestly, he actually was somebody who interested me because I felt like we were sort of seeing, especially through the past 7 starts, but even beyond that, he's somebody to me who is sort of having a breakout season. He also is somebody who I think you could get at a decent value, and he's young. I like the idea if you are going to go out there and chase a starting pitcher, which I don't know whether or not they do that. I think you should be getting somebody, quite honestly, who is at their prime or who is on the way up. I would prefer something like that over a vet when you just feel like they might be a little bit more injury prone and just looking at the lineup that they have now. If everything goes well with the MRI, Cabrera is somebody who really appeals to me.
Not to mention, the Marlins are not going to get what they would have hoped to have gotten from Sandy Alcantara, because I probably just botched that name, but
I think
you
it's
get
like
the idea.
Alcantara.
Alcantara, whatever, because he's had a really bad year. That was a guy you looked at the start of the season and said maybe he's their trade deadline. You know, he gets them some prospects, the overhaul, whatever. They're not going to get nearly what he's worth because he hasn't been good. So if they are looking to move someone, it could be Cabrera. I for sure agree. Also, Mitch Keller on the Pirates. The Pirates are going to have a fire sale, like I mentioned before. He has a 3.48 ERA. If the Mets are looking to add a starter who's maybe not the flashiest of names, right? A little bit, maybe a 4-5 starter. You're not sure in Holmes, not sure in Montas. To me, Mitch Keller is an appealing option. And then the only other person, there's a few other guys on this list, but the other guy who sticks out to me is, again, I don't think the Red Sox are going to move him, but you know who's having a really good season, and I hate to say it because he sucks as a guy, is Aroldis Chapman. And I don't know if Chapman, you know, move him into that setup role, kind of gets a, Reed Garrett's been good, but those innings getting to Edwin Diaz have been a problem, in particular when Reed Garrett is not available. Brooks Raley is coming back, by the way. He's been rehabbing in Syracuse. He's on his way back and will help that problem. But to further help that problem, Aroldis Chapman would help. Now, again, I don't think the Red Sox are going to sell. So,
you know, I am happy that you brought up Brooks Raley, though, because that's not somebody who we have discussed a lot for obvious reasons, but he was really, really good and a big loss, and I'm happy that he's on his way back.
He has gone 8 scoreless rehab innings so far in Syracuse. He should be back after the break. And I think I agree with you. It's an underrated, huge arm in relief. All of a sudden, right, Stanek having a bad year, all of a sudden you have Reed Garrett and Brooks Raley to get to Edwin Diaz. Certainly more appealing.
I totally agree. When I think about the Mets and their biggest problem, if I had to sum it up in a few words, it would simply be a book titled The Eighth Inning.
Literally.
Like, that is the issue, right?
Yeah.
Like, especially on a year when Diaz is having a great year. That's really all you're needing. And Stanek, like you said, there have been times where he's been awesome, and I really like even his like energy when he's out there on the mound. Like, I always feel like he's kind of like a hyped up, energized guy, but he hasn't necessarily had it the whole way. Reed Garrett's actually pretty good, but that's not enough. And I think that's something that I think about a lot is, let's just say the Mets were able to get back to the NLCS and go toe-to-toe with the Dodgers again. A big word that comes to my mind, there's a bug here, it's just really, really, really upsetting me. A big word, it's very upsetting. A big word that comes to mind for me is endurance. Are you going to have the endurance to stick with a team like the Dodgers and finally get over that hump? I think about the Dodgers a lot. They're just always on my mind.
Always on your mind.
Yeah.
They're like the big brother, honestly.
Oh, it's so annoying.
Yeah, so we'll get into some more trade deadline stuff. Obviously, it's not this week. We'll have another couple weeks on that, but that's what we're looking at headed into the All Star break. I'm really excited to watch the game on Tuesday, to see Lindor out there at shortstop for the Mets. Hopefully we see an Alonso cameo. Hopefully we see an Edwin Diaz cameo. Probably won't see a David Peterson cameo, but I'm excited to watch the All Star game nonetheless. Something I'm going to leave you with for my daily Yankees hate, even though the Mets didn't play the Yankees this week, that was last week, is that just so you all know, just so everyone's aware, the 3 Subway Series games from last week, from July 4th through 6th, averaged 70% more viewers on SNY than it did on Yes. What does that tell you? I don't know. The rivalry is getting hotter. Mets fans care more. The SNY broadcast is better. I don't know. Just want to leave you with that.
It probably tells you all of those things.
Good night.
Good night, everybody, and goodbye. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you back here when the next big thing happens.